Tom was just a mechanic. He fixed things, ran checks, and made sure small cargo ships could fly smoothly between Earth's outer stations. He wasn't a pilot, a scientist, or anyone important. In fact, he liked it that way, a quiet life with tools in hand and stars above. That was all he needed. Today was supposed to be simple. Fix a broken relay satellite near Station E-17, log the repair, and head back before dinner. But something strange happened. His ship, the Sky Lantern, suddenly blinked red on the navigation panel. He frowned and tapped the screen. Instead of staying near the satellite, the ship was being pulled softly, but clearly toward a much larger orbiting structure. Auto dock. That's not right, Tom muttered. He tried to cancel it, but the command didn't respond. A glowing blue field wrapped around the ship, and a calm voice spoke in a language he didn't understand. Then, in perfect English, "Welcome, Earth delegate. You are cleared for arrival." Earth what? Tom blinked. "I'm not a delegate. Too late." The ship smoothly slid into a docking bay. The airlock opened with a gentle hiss, and Tom stepped out, holding his repair tablet like a shield. He had never seen anything like it. The walls were smooth and silver, glowing faintly from within. Tall beings with flowing robes and crystal-like patterns on their skin stood in rows, facing a raised platform. Tom froze. This wasn't a satellite or a spaceport. This looked like a royal court. A man in a shiny silver suit turned and stared at Tom. "Who is this?" A woman beside him frowned. Wasn't the ambassador supposed to arrive later? The crowd began whispering. Tom took a careful step back. Before he could escape, a soft bell rang across the hall. Everyone turned toward the center of the room. A wide door slid open, and a tall figure stepped out. She was unlike anyone Tom had ever seen. Her skin had a soft violet glow. Her long silver hair floated slightly, like it was underwater. She wore a simple yet elegant robe, and a thin band of light circled her forehead. Her eyes were bright, curious, and focused directly on him. Everyone in the room bowed except Tom, because he had no idea what was happening. The woman stepped forward. Her voice was calm but clear. "Who is this human?" she asked. One of the silver-robed guards quickly answered, "A mechanic, Your Highness. He seems to have arrived by accident." The woman raised one perfect eyebrow. "Accident?" Tom swallowed. Sorry. My ship got pulled in. I think there's a mistake. I'm not supposed to be here. Just a small repair job." She walked closer. The room fell silent. Her eyes locked with his. Then she tilted her head and asked, with complete seriousness, "Are you single or taken, human?" The silence that followed was deep and full of shock. Tom blinked. "What?" Whispers shot through the room like wind. The silver-suited man whispered something urgent to the ambassador. The guard stared at the floor. Even the translator looked stunned. The princess, if that's what she was, didn't seem to care. She waited patiently, eyes never leaving Tom. I guess I'm single," Tom said, unsure why he was answering. She smiled. A gentle sound, like musical wind, floated through the hall. It was the Velmarin version of laughter. Tom scratched his head. "Can someone explain what's going on?" The ambassador stepped forward. "I think we need to talk privately." Two guards approached Tom, but not in a threatening way. They guided him through a side hallway, into a smaller room with round walls and floating chairs. The ambassador followed, rubbing his forehead. Tom sat down, still holding his tablet. "Okay." The ambassador said, "First, what's your name?" "Tom." "Just Tom." "All right, Tom. I'm Bryn. I was supposed to meet with Princess Alani today." This was a formal first greeting between Earth and the Velmarin royal line. "You being pulled in is very unusual." "Yeah," Tom said. "Tell me about it." Bryn looked serious. When a Velmarin royal asks a question like that, especially in front of the court, it's a sign. A declaration. Tom blinked. "Of what?" "Of interest. Deep interest. It's rare. Some say it only happens once in a generation. But I'm just a mechanic." Bryn nodded slowly. "And yet, she asked you?" Tom leaned back. "I didn't even brush my hair this morning." Bryn gave a small laugh. "You may have just become the most important person on this station." Tom sighed. "Can I still go fix that satellite?" Bryn looked at him carefully. Maybe later. For now, you're a guest of the royal court. Stay calm, be polite, and try not to answer any more royal questions without thinking. Tom groaned. Too late for that. Tom woke up the next morning in a soft round room, not in his small ship cabin, but in a guest chamber made of glowing walls and floating furniture. The bed had no legs, and the lights changed color, depending on the mood of the room. It was peaceful, but very strange. He sat up slowly. A small round robot hovered into the room and spoke in a gentle tone. Good morning, Tom of Earth. You are invited to breakfast with Princess Alani in the Sky Garden. Tom blinked. I guess she still remembers me. The robot beeped politely. Yes, she requested your presence personally. Tom rubbed his face. He still couldn't believe what happened yesterday. A royal alien princess had asked if he was single in front of everyone. Now he was staying in the palace, being treated like an honored guest, all because of one question. It felt like a dream, a very weird dream. He followed the robot through glowing hallways, past floating paintings, and gentle music that came from the walls themselves. Finally, a large round door opened, and Tom stepped into the sky garden. It was beautiful. Tall glowing plants grew in twisting shapes. Flowers floated in the air like bubbles. Strange blue birds flew without wings. In the middle of the garden stood Princess Alani. She turned when she saw him and smiled. Good morning, Tom, she said. Tom gave a small wave. Hi, I hope you slept well, she said kindly. Yeah, the bed was floating. That was new. She nodded. You are adjusting quickly. That's a good sign. A sign of what? Tom asked, already nervous. Alani sat on a soft bench made of living vines. She gestured for him to sit across from her. A small table between them slowly grew out of the ground, and glowing fruit appeared on top. Tom sat carefully, still confused. I know this must be strange for you, Alani said gently. But yesterday was a rare moment. Our people believe in something called life or resonance. When two beings' auras match, it is a sign of deep harmony. Tom scratched his head. You mean like soulmates? Something like that, she said. But it is more than love. It is a match of balance, emotion, logic, purpose. It has not happened to me before. Tom looked down at the table. So when you saw me, I felt it instantly, Alani said. That's why I asked the question. I needed to know if you were already bonded to someone. I wasn't expecting a princess to ask me anything, Tom muttered. Most people don't even notice me. Well, I noticed, Alani said. Smiling again, Tom blushed a little. I'm just a mechanic. I fix broken panels and update ship codes. I don't wear nice robes or glow. Alani leaned forward slightly. That is what makes this so important. You are humble, calm. You solve problems. On my world, these are signs of a strong spirit. Before Tom could reply, another voice spoke behind him. Your Highness, the council is waiting. Tom turned. A tall man with silver robes and serious eyes stood near the garden entrance. His name was Advisor Kenner, and Tom had seen him frown a lot since yesterday. Alani sighed. Yes. Kenner, I will come soon. Kenner gave Tom a brief glance, and then left without another word. Tom shifted uncomfortably. He doesn't like me much, huh? He doesn't understand you, Alani said. He believes greatness must look a certain way, but sometimes greatness is quiet. Tom didn't know what to say to that, so he picked up a piece of glowing fruit and took a bite. It tasted like sweet air and honey. So, what happens now? He asked. Alani stood up. I will speak to the council. They want to know more about you. Many are surprised by my choice. Some are even upset. Tom raised his eyebrows. Upset. Why? Because they hoped I would choose someone from our noble houses, someone with high status. Tom nodded slowly. Yeah, I'm about as far from noble as it gets. Alani looked at him seriously. That does not matter to me, but it may matter to others. Tom stood up too. Well, I don't want to cause trouble. Maybe I should go back to my ship. Alani shook her head. It's not that simple. Now that the match has been seen, it must be explored. We follow tradition, even if it was a mistake. Alani tilted her head. Do you think it was a mistake? Tom opened his mouth. Tom sat quietly in a round room with soft lights and floating cushions. He still didn't know how he ended up here inside an alien palace, being watched by royal advisors, and somehow connected to a glowing princess back on Earth. He was just a guy who fixed ship engines. Here, he was something else, something confusing. The door opened, and a young Velmarin stepped in. She had soft green skin and short hair that shimmered when she moved. She wore a simple robe and held a silver tablet. You are Tom of Earth, she asked kindly. Tom stood. Yeah, that's me. I am Ren. Princess Alani asked me to guide you. I will help you understand our ways. Tom smiled. That would be great. I don't know what's going on half the time. Ren nodded. That is normal. Our people are different from yours, but we wish to learn from each other. As they walked down a quiet hall, Ren explained things. Velmara was ruled by a royal family, but their leaders were chosen based on aura alignment, not just birth. Their people believed that everyone had an invisible energy and aura that connected with others in special ways. When two people's auras matched completely, it was called a resonant bond. That's what happened with the princess and me. Tom asked. Ryan gave a small smile. Yes. When she saw you, her aura reacted. That only happens once or twice in a lifetime. But I'm not special, Tom said. I don't have powers. I don't even talk much. Ren looked thoughtful. On Velmara, silence is not weakness. Many here talk too much and listen too little. You notice things. That is rare. Tom didn't know what to say. He had never been told that before. They entered a learning room filled with images floating in the air. Screens showed Velmarin history, art, and science. Ren touched one screen, and a glowing chart appeared. It showed two circles overlapping, one blue and one violet. This is the pattern of your resonance with Alani, she said. Almost full match. It surprised the council. Tom pointed at a red line blinking on the side. What's that? Ren paused. That is disagreement. Some advisors believe the connection is a mistake. They say a human cannot form a true bond with Velmarin royalty. Tom sighed. Yeah, that sounds like something people would say. But others are curious, Ren added. Your way of thinking is different. Earth logic is flexible. You solve problems in simple ways. I just fix things with what I have, Tom said. Exactly, Ren replied. Here, people often wait for permission. You act when something is broken. That is new to us. Tom looked at the chart again. So, what now? You will be tested, Ren said. Not in a hard way. It is called the trial of harmony. It is how we learn if to match people truly understand each other. Tom raised an eyebrow. Is this some kind of space marriage test? Ren laughed softly. No, not a marriage test. It is more like working together in strange situations. You and Alani will complete tasks. There are no right answers, just how well you think and feel as a team. Tom took a breath. Sounds like I better not mess up. Just be yourself, Ren said. That is why the princess noticed you. Later that day, Tom found himself in a quiet chamber with silver walls and no doors. Princess Alani stood across from him, smiling gently. Hello again, Tom. Hey, he said. Ren told me about the trial. Alani nodded. Yes, I hope it is not too strange for you. I've been pulled into a space palace by a glowing princess who asked if I was single. Tom said. Strange stopped mattering yesterday. Alani laughed. A sound like soft bells. Then we begin. The first part of the trial was a puzzle wall. Symbols lit up in random patterns. Alani touched one, and the whole wall changed. Tom watched the flow and stepped forward. If we match the lights to the outer rings, it might form a sequence. He said. Together, they touched patterns, adjusted the glow, and shifted pieces. In less than 10 minutes, the wall lit up fully and opened. You are good at this, Alani said. Tom shrugged. My brain likes patterns. Comes from fixing ship. Wires? The next part was different. They were placed in a small garden with fake stars above. A voice said, create a shelter using only what you see. Alani looked at the plants and tools. On Velmara, we would use the bonding roots to form walls. Tom walked over and grabbed a vine. These hold shape if wrapped tightly. I've used something similar to fix air vents. They work together, combining her knowledge of plant materials and his practical thinking. In half an hour, they had a cozy little dome with air control, light, and water flow. The final part was the most unusual. They were asked to share a dream. You must allow your minds to link, the voice said. Do not resist. Let your thoughts flow. Tom was nervous. I'm not great at sharing feelings. Alani gently took his hand. Just think of something peaceful. I will follow. They closed their eyes suddenly. They stood in a dream version of Earth, a quiet hill under a blue sky. Birds sang. Trees waved in the wind. It was Tom's favorite memory from when he was young. Alani stood beside him, looking amazed. This is beautiful, she whispered. It's simple, Tom said. She turned to him. Sometimes simple is all we need. When they opened their eyes, the voice spoke again. Trial complete. Result, perfect harmony. Alani smiled at him with soft eyes. Tom scratched his head. So, what does that mean? It means, Alani said gently, you and I might be the beginning of something much bigger than we thought. The news of the trial spread fast. In every corner of the Velmarin Palace, people whispered about the result, perfect harmony. A human and the royal princess had passed all 3 tests without error. No one had expected it, especially not the council. Tom, however, still felt confused. He sat on a small bench in the sky garden, watching a floating bird circle above. The dream they had shared was still fresh in his mind. Alani had seen his favorite place from Earth, a quiet hill with green grass and a single tree. Somehow, she had appeared in it like she belonged there. He wasn't sure how he felt. It wasn't bad, just surprising. A soft sound behind him made him turn. Princess Alani walked over, holding 2 small cups filled with glowing fruit water. I thought you might be thirsty, she said with a smile. Tom took the cup. Thanks. Is this the part where I get a medal or something? She sat beside him. No medals, just questions, from you or your council. Both. Tom sipped the drink. It tasted sweet and cool, like chilled starlight. Figures. Alani looked at him gently. Are you all right? I think so, he said. I passed the trial, but I still don't understand what it really means. She nodded. That's fair. The trial of harmony was never meant to be a test of knowledge. It was a way to see if 2 lives can work together. Tom looked at her. Do you think we can? Alani smiled. I already do. Before Tom could answer, a soft bell rang. Alani stood. The council is waiting for us. Double quotes. Tom groaned. I had a feeling you'd say that. In the council hall, the room was large and round, with 12 glowing seats arranged in a circle. Each council member wore a different color robe and had a unique mark on their forehead. At the center stood a platform made of floating light. Tom followed Alani onto the platform. She stood tall, calm, and confident. Tom stood beside her, trying to hide how nervous he felt. A woman in a gold robe stood and spoke. Princess Alani, human Tom, you have completed the trial of harmony. The results are clear. However, many questions remain. Another council member, this one in green, leaned forward. Human, do you understand the meaning of your bond with the princess? Tom took a deep breath. I think I understand parts of it. I know I wasn't supposed to be here. I know I don't look like much, but I also know that when Alani and I worked together, something just clicked. Whispers passed through the council chamber. A tall man in a blue robe stood next. His name was Iran, and Tom had seen him frown more than once since arriving. Human Tom, Iran said. You come from a world that is still learning. Your people are new to our galaxy. Do you really believe you are ready to stand beside royalty? Tom looked up, then said slowly, back on Earth, I'm just a mechanic. I fix broken things, solve simple problems, and stay out of the way. But maybe that's what you need. The council fell quiet. Tom continued. You all expect someone with perfect manners or great power, but maybe it takes someone ordinary to remind you of the small things that matter. I don't want power. I don't want a crown. I just want to help. Alani stepped forward. That is why he passed the trial. He does not want to take. He wants to give. Iran looked thoughtful, but said nothing more. Another voice spoke from the back. It was Advisor Kenner. He walked into the center of the room, carrying a silver orb. This was found on the human ship, Kenner said. It contains recordings, engine logs, repair notes, and personal messages. Tom blinked. Wait, you went through my stuff? Kenner nodded without apology. We studied it to learn more. What we found surprised us. He tapped the orb. A hologram appeared. It showed video from inside Tom's ship. In one clip, Tom was fixing a damaged air pipe while talking to himself. Come on, stay in place. Okay, now seal it. Good. Don't break. Please don't break. The next clip showed him helping a lost cargo pilot find her way back to a station. Another showed him fixing a broken food heater and giving it away to a traveler who had none. These are not the actions of someone seeking fame. Kenner said, this is a man who helps without reward. The room was silent. Finally, the council leader stood. We have seen enough. The human speaks with honesty. The match is true. Tom blinked. Wait, so what does that mean? It means, the leader said, you are no longer just a visitor. You are now a symbol of our future. After the meeting, them sat in the garden again, rubbing his face. I don't feel like a symbol. He said. Alani laughed. You don't have to feel it. You already are. Tom looked at her. So what now? She smiled. Now, we show the galaxy what harmony looks like. He looked out at the floating trees, glowing softly in the afternoon light. Well, he said, as long as I don't have to wear one of those glowing robes. She laughed again. We'll see. And for the first time since arriving on Velmara, Tom smiled fully and without worry. He was still just a mechanic from Earth, but now he was also something more. Tom was getting used to life in the palace, but only a little. Every morning, a floating tray of fruit water and sweet bread arrived every afternoon. Princess Alani invited him to walk through the gardens or visit the learning rooms, and every evening, someone from the Velmarin Council asked him questions about Earth. But Tom still felt out of place. Back on Earth, he fixed broken things. He used his hands. Here, people floated, glowed, and spoke with perfect words. He couldn't help feeling like a small piece in a large machine he didn't understand. One day, as Tom walked through the East Garden, someone called out behind him, Tom of Earth. May I speak with you? He turned and saw Rin, the young translator and guide who had helped him earlier. Her soft green skin shimmered in the sunlight. Of course. Tom said, what's on your mind? Rin looked around, then led him to a quiet corner near the crystal trees. I must tell you something, she said, but you must promise to listen carefully. Tom nodded, now alert. Okay, I'm listening. Rin took a breath. There are some in the council who do not want peace between Velmara and Earth. They believe your people are too new, too different. They fear change. Tom frowned. Because of me? Not just you, Rin said, but you are the reason the connection cannot be ignored anymore. Your bond with Princess Alani forces the council to face something they have avoided. What's that? That maybe humans and Velmarins are not so different after all. Tom looked down. But I'm not special. I didn't ask for any of this. Rin smiled sadly. Sometimes, those who do not ask are the ones who are most needed. Tom thought for a moment. So what are they planning? There is a small group, Rin said. They want to prove that humans cannot be trusted. They believe if you fail, they can cancel the alliance. Tom raised his eyebrows. How would they make me fail? Rin hesitated. They plan to challenge you. Publicly. He blinked. Challenge me? At what floating puzzles and glowing fruit? Rin shook her head. They will ask you to repair something. A system that has not worked for years. Something even our best builders could not fix. Tom let out a slow breath. So, they want to embarrass me in front of everyone. Yes, Rin said. They believe you will give up or make a mistake. Tom looked at the ground, then back at her. Can I see this system? Rin's eyes widened. You mean you'll try? Tom gave a small grin. I fix broken things. That's all I know. If they think I'll run, maybe it's time to surprise them. Inside the shield room later. That day, Tom was brought to a room deep under the palace. Thick walls of silver and glass surrounded them. The lights inside flickered weakly. "This is the planetary shield core," Ren explained. "It protects Velmara's surface during space storms, but it stopped working many years ago." Tom studied the control panel. The design was strange, but not impossible. He tapped a few buttons. A map of energy lines lit up. Some were broken, others out of sync. "This doesn't look too bad," he said. Her eye blinked. "Our engineers studied it for decades." "Well, sometimes you just need a fresh pair of eyes," Tom said. "Can I have some tools?" Within minutes, Tom rolled up his sleeves, opened the back panel, and began working. 2 hours later, Princess Alani entered the shield room, followed by 4 council members and several curious watchers. Tom didn't notice them at first. He was too focused. Wires were spread on the floor. A glowing panel was halfway open. Tom held a small tool in one hand and a metal clip in the other. "There," he said softly. "That should do it." He pressed a button. A hum filled the room. Soft at first, then louder. The lights turned steady blue. The walls shimmered. Above them, the system map blinked once, then showed full energy flow. The shield was working. Gasps filled the room. One council member stepped forward. "This cannot be." Delani smiled. "It can, and it is." Tom turned around and saw everyone staring at him. "Did I do something wrong?" he asked. "No," Alani said, walking closer. "You did something incredible." She turned to the crowd. "Let it be known that the human whom many called unworthy has restored what even our finest minds could not. He is not just a match, he is a bridge." The crowd murmured in agreement. A few bowed slightly. Alani stepped beside Tom and looked up at him. "Now," she said gently, "will you answer me again?" Tom blinked. "What?" She smiled. "My first question to you. Are you single or taken, human?" He looked at her glowing eyes, the way she stood with both kindness and strength, and the faces of everyone who now looked at him with new respect. He smiled and said, "I guess I'm spoken for now." The room filled with soft laughter and warm light, and somewhere deep inside, Tom felt something shift. He wasn't just a mechanic anymore. He was part of something bigger. Tom sat on the edge of a quiet balcony, high above the glowing city of Velmara. Below him, smooth towers stretched into the sky, and soft lights floated through the air like fireflies. The shield he had fixed was now active again, wrapping the planet in a gentle layer of safety. He should have felt proud. Instead, he felt unsure. Behind him, the sound of soft footsteps broke the silence. Princess Alani appeared, her robe flowing gently as she walked toward him. She carried the small cups of warm glow tea. "You're not at the celebration," she said, handing him a cup. Tom gave a small smile. "Too many people, too much attention. I'm still not used to it." She sat beside him. "You did something amazing, Tom. The shield hasn't worked in over 30 years. Even our top engineers gave up. Yet you walked in and fixed it in 2 hours." Tom shrugged. "I didn't do it to prove anything. It was just broken. I saw how to fix it, so I did." "That is exactly why it matters," Alani said gently. "You don't fix things to be seen. You fix them because they need to be fixed. That is rare." They sat in silence for a while. The wind was calm. The stars above twinkled like quiet watchers. Finally, Tom asked, "What happens now?" Alani looked at him carefully. "Now, the council must vote. Some still question the bond between us, others support it, but the decision is close." Tom nodded. "And if they say no, then our match will not be recognized. The connection will be ignored, and Pew will be asked to return to Earth." Tom looked down. "Even after all this?" "Yes," she said softly. "Some are still afraid of change." He thought for a moment. Then he asked, "What do you want, Alani?" She turned to face him. "I want what's right, not just for me, but for both our worlds. I believe humans and Velmarans can learn from each other, and I believe we begin with us." Tom smiled faintly. "You always speak like a leader, and you always speak like someone who listens first," she replied. The next day, the council chamber was full. All 12 council members sat in their glowing seats. Alani stood on the platform. Tom stood beside her, dressed in a simple dark robe that Ren had given him. He still felt like a mechanic wearing a borrowed coat. The head counselor, a calm woman named Lyra, rose from her seat. We have reviewed the trial of Harmony. We have witnessed the repair of the planetary shield. The question before us now is clear. She turned to Tom. Do you, human Tom, wish to continue the bond with Princess Alani, knowing the responsibility and weight it brings? Tom looked around. Everyone was watching. Nobles, advisors, and even a few curious children. But he didn't feel scared anymore. He looked at Alani. She gave him a small, hopeful smile. Tom took a deep breath and spoke. When I first arrived here, I thought it was a mistake. I didn't belong. I was just trying to fix a satellite. And suddenly, I was in a royal hall, being asked if I was single. The room chuckled quietly. But now, Tom continued, I see something else. I see people who care deeply. I see a world full of beauty and tradition. And I see a chance to build something new between our worlds. He paused, then added, so yes, I choose to continue the bond, not because of the attention, not because of the title, but because I believe it's right for both of us. Alani smiled, her eyes bright. The council whispered among themselves. Then Counselor Lyra spoke again. Your choice is heard. Now we must cast our vote, one by one. Each member placed their hand over a glowing crystal. Some crystals lit up green. A few turned yellow. Only one stayed red dot. After a long moment, Lyra turned to the crowd. 11 in favor, 1 against. The bond is accepted. The hall filled with a gentle sound of music. Lights floated from the ceiling like flower petals. Tom stood still, surprised. It's done, he asked. Alani nodded. It's done. Later that night, returned to his chamber. The floating lights in the ceiling dimmed as he entered. The day had been long. His head was full of thoughts. On the table was a small message cube. He tapped it. Ren's voice came through. Tom, I wanted to say thank you. Your choice today helped many of us believe again. Not just in peace, but in the idea that something different can still be good. He smiled and set the cube down. Outside, the city of Velmar continued to glow. But tonight, it seemed a little warmer. A quiet walk later, Tom stepped outside. He found Alani walking near the sky trees, alone. He joined her. They walked slowly, side by side. I never asked, he said. What would you have done if I said no? Alani looked up at the stars. I would have accepted it, but I would still have remembered you. Tom nodded. I'm glad I said yes. She turned to him. Me too. They stopped near a quiet pond. The water reflected the stars like a mirror. Tom looked at. The Orion ship was unlike any human craft Dallin had ever seen. It floated quietly above the garden, shaped like a silver leaf, with no engines that roared, no flashing lights. It hummed softly, as if breathing with the wind. Dallin stood near the boarding platform, wearing a robe gifted by the Orion. It was light, smooth, and stitched with a gentle blue thread that symbolized truth spoken without fear, a rare thread. Merrill had told him. All around the garden, Orion citizens had gathered. Thousands of them. They stood on balconies, stone steps, and under blooming trees. The Garden of Silence, once a place of sorrow, now glowed with quiet hope. Queen Merrill stood at the center of the platform. The 3 council elders stood behind her. A soft breeze lifted her silver robe as she stepped forward and raised her voice, calm but strong. We remember the past, she said, her voice echoing across the wide garden. And we do not forget. But today, we choose something more. She looked at the crowd. For centuries, we believed silence was the only path. That shame must be hidden. That stillness was safety. But one voice, a stranger's voice, reminded us that silence is not healing. It is waiting. She turned to Dallin. And so, we will no longer wait. The wind grew quiet. Every Orion leaned forward, listening. Merrill continued. This ship will carry a new message into the stars. Not a message of power or pride, but of learning, of listening, of care. She placed a hand on Dallin's shoulder. And this human, this friend, will help carry that message. Dallin looked out at the crowd. He wasn't used to speaking in front of so many. But he took a breath and stepped forward. I came here by accident, he said, but I stayed because something called me to listen. He glanced at Meryl, then at the council. You showed me your sorrow, your truth, your silence. And I saw something many miss, a people who are ready to grow again. Not to forget, but to build something better from what was broken. A soft hum moved through the crowd. Not a sound of noise, but a feeling. I'm not a hero, Dallin continued. I'm just someone who listened. But maybe that's all we need, more people who listen, more who care. He looked up at the ship, and maybe, out there, someone is waiting for your voice, too, just like I was. The Queen smiled, not just with her mouth, but with her whole face. It was the smile of someone who had carried a heavy weight for a long time and was finally ready to let go. She turned to the crowd once more. We will begin again, not by forgetting what came before, but by remembering it with open hearts. We will reach out to those we hurt, and to those we've never met. We will offer healing, not silence. The garden was still. Then softly, someone began to sing. It was a young Iran child. The melody was gentle, slow, and clear. Then another voice joined in, and another. Within moments, the garden was full of soft song. Not sad, not loud, just true. Dallin looked around. He had never heard anything like it. This song, Meryl whispered to him, is called The Turning Light. It is sung only when a new journey begins. The ship door opened with a smooth sigh. The Iran group chosen for the voyage stood waiting, scholars, builders, healers, and thinkers. No soldiers, no leaders of war, only those who wanted to give, learn, and rebuild. Down stepped aboard. As he looked back one last time, Meryl was there. She did not speak, but her eyes said everything. Thank you. Go well. Remember. He gave a small nod. Then the door closed. The ship lifted slowly into the sky. No rumble, no fire, just light and song. Through the windows, Dallin saw the garden of silence below, now blooming with flowers never seen before. Trees that had stayed quiet for years were finally growing again. Hours passed. Now the ship floated among stars. Inside, Dallin stood near a wide window. One Iran healer named Nellen walked beside him. Where will we go first? She asked gently. Dallin smiled. Somewhere no one's listened in a while. Nellen nodded. The stars are wide. They are, Dallin said, and so is the chance to do better. Behind them, Iran scholars prepared messages written in soft light, messages of peace, of apology, of hope. They would search for the descendants of the Venari, if any remained, and if not, they would visit others, planets once touched by the Iran, now forgotten, not to fix the past, but to grow something new in the present. Back on Velmari, Meryl stood in the garden. She touched one of the newly blooming trees. Its petals were soft, white, and glowing faintly in the dusk. Do you think he will succeed? Elder Soleil asked, walking up beside her. Meryl smiled softly. He already has, she said. He helped us speak again. The rest will take time. But we are no longer afraid of that. They stood in silence, not the old silence, filled with sorrow. A new silence, full of light, full of breath.